Well, hello everybody. It is Friday, the last Friday of 2024. If it's actually 2024, I'm not really sure about that, but that's what they say. So we're going to go along with it. So thank you for tuning in. I know many people are off and getting a chance just to maybe chill out a little bit and be with family and friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes, you can be alone. Like I'm in the house and there's no one. Well, there's a lot here, but what can be physically. And on Monday, we will have a new energy into our house. We're actually getting a new puppy dog. So I'll introduce everyone to Harley on Monday. So again, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. It's an honor, always a true joy. And I know you have a lot of choices that you can do with your time. So it's a blessing and it is manifestation of great favor that you show me. And I hope I reciprocate in kind. So speaking of favor, I'll speak it over all of us. You know, even the dragons. Please welcome my dragon. Um, You can have one too, but mine has introduced, and fortunately, I have a video documentary, this channel. Um, when it first introduced itself, I was thinking it was like the Golden Serpent, and that was nearly 5 years ago. But come to find out, it was, in fact, my dragon is a golden dragon. There are many different dragons in different colors, and they are male, female. And been here. We're going to learn a lot about them today, so I'm not going to really get into a lot of dialogue because the book that we're going to be reading, Dragons Are Real by Alice Tanner, I believe, Tanis. Um, it's it's one of those reads that it's available in Amazon or wherever you may get your reading material, but it's well worth it. I'm going to reach out to her and see if we can be honored to have her as a potential guest here in the new year. So it's it's very exciting, and the synchronicity that we are all experiencing, activation of the third eye, traveling in the astral realms, learning now about these magnificent beings. Um, it's all tied together. So activate that third eye. You can do it right now. Just simply just kind of slow down, take a deep breath. If you need to, you can put slight pressure right there on your third eye and just begin to see it activated. And it's really just that easy. Um, and get prepared because if you hear the words that I'm going to be reading through the senses of your third eye, it makes the story, it will become a part of a living uh, tapestry for you, for each one of us. And I have no doubt that many will be introduced potentially to your dragon. Yeah. So, real quick, about the $7 billion US expenditure on magic. Unfortunately, they don't say what kind of magic. But I found it interesting that and you can see this by just going to uh, governmentwaste.org, and there's others that you can actually see, you can put into a category, term, and see if there has been funding on such a thing. And there's some quite crazy stuff out there. But what was interesting, that was spent this year. $7 billion that the United States government has spent on magic, the development, the implementation, which is another word for casting, of magic. Now, I'm writing my congressperson, and because Ann Wagner, and I want to find out exactly how does one apply for a grant into this area. Because again, someone wrote, Chloe, I think it was you, dear, that wrote, I have to have more information. What kind of magic? It's a good question. What freaking kind? I do know. All I do know is this, is that they take this serious. That's why they monitor channels like this. I mean, I'm not on social media, and there's a reason for that. This is the only platform. Now, I have other platforms where the videos are sometimes posted and they're not reposted, but our government is very, very interested in those channels that promote the use of magic, techniques of opening the third eye, and particularly when we start discussing about other intelligent beings, dragons. Don't know what your opinion is on dragons. Well, um, personally, I adore mine. I have enjoyed many conversations, and I've seen only two that I can identify with. The one that I know as is this, and it is female, and it's golden dragon, but there has been this most beautiful iridescent green dragon I have seen, and it's not that difficult. You can put yourself into the astral realm right now. In fact, that's where we already are hiding. Just by listening to my voice, and you're already into the channel. But anyway, there are many of them, and so I want to get right into this because you're going to love this. Just say hello to everybody in the chat room. Gaia and Gilbert, good to see you. Mr. Floyd Jargo, what's up? I saw JD, how you doing, brother? Daniel, good to see you, and Bonnie and the Rebel Preacher, how you doing? Good to see you. Welcome, Joyce, and hello there, Lynn. Street Mom, good to see you. And there's Miss Nina. Rick, how are you doing, brother? Good to see you. And Chloe, thank you. Kent, the New Realm CERN is saying they have found magic. Gaia, we're into some weird stuff. Isn't it odd, the conversation that we had yesterday? Yesterday's was a powerful freaking video. I mean, I went back and was listening, and there was some fucking reality bombs being put everywhere. We were shattering some illusional uh, deceptions. And that's why government officials they're more concerned about people like us than, other radical political groups and what have you. No, it's people like us that, number one, we know that magic is real. It's not the pretend illusion, sleight of hands. That's not the magic. That's trickery. But we understand what magic is, and we practice it, and that makes us more of a threat. And then when you start talking about, remote viewing and beginning to astro project and begin to do as groups, and they begin to see that we are the ones on the fringe, and us on the fringe, they can't curtail us in. We've broken through all those spells. And they're worried that we'll start seriously casting some of our own. Sometimes we do things we don't even speak about. But anyway, I digress. As Daniel said, yeah, we know. But Daniel, which God? I dig this thing. Listen, I was a minister. If you don't know my background, I know the Bible better than most. But anyway, which God? You see, the problem is, Christianity has no God. I mean, if you're trying to say Christianity is somehow adaptive to Yahweh, the Mesopotamian ancient Hebraic God, I can guarantee you that ain't your friend. But anyway, we always look to there that if there is such a God that is a God of love, then we speak favor over that God. But there are many different gods. And so, Daniel, we always respect everyone's beliefs here. And I always just tell you that this is not a place to proselytize others. We're all free thinkers here, and we respect all beliefs, and that is reciprocated in kind. So you're welcome here, and thank you for that. Emperor Rex, what's up? Good to see you. Hello, Stephanie Marie. How are you? Grace, how are you doing? Deborah, I see that your husband is going for a checkup, expecting a good report on that as well. Rick, same with you, brother, going right back at you. So if I haven't caught you, Letty Ellie and Jackie, and if I've missed you, sending love to you all over the place. Um, as I get back up here. Okay. Millie, what's up? Good to see you, Lauren. Hello, Jules, all the way from down under. Must be, it's early in the morning there. So I want to get right into this because this book, now I'm going to shorten some of the Indian words because I don't want to be messing them up. By the way, I love to say Uranus, you know. If you want to see what the dark side of the moon is, check Uranus. But anyway, that goes by to the comment yesterday. I love the comments that were there, and it was, "Hello, crazy old lady. How you doing, dear?" Well, good. So do we. All right. So let me get right into this book because it is so freaking cool. Um, so this is on my Kindle. Again, this is the book Dragons Are Real. And if you decide to get it, then I know the author would appreciate it as well. You're going to love this. This is such a it grabs you right from the get-go. So without any more delay on this, we'll start reading on this. And it's a pleasant read for today where it's foggy and cloudy and people think it's gloomy. To me, I'm a freaking ray of sunshine. I like the fog. I like the cloudy days, you know. Lived out in Colorado. Hello, Gilbert, and all the rest of our soul tribers out there, where I got really almost jaded by constant clear blue skies, sun. Yeah. All right. Introduction. Dragons are real. The Dragon's Tale is a true story of my encounters with dragons. They are seldom seen as they exist in a higher frequency than our fast-paced technological world. But that is changing as the possibility, and we are a part of that, of other intelligent beings and their worlds are beginning to re-enter the consciousness of humanity. You see, that's what religion of the world has done, and that's why politics is so dangerous, is that it basically blocks off the part of our creation aspect of who and what we are. And if you're consciously discussing it, you have given life to it. Yeah. So if we are open to see, and we are, my third eye is active and functioning perfectly. There is overwhelming evidence for the existence of dragons that has passed down through thousands of years of oral tradition. References to dragons go back to more than 4,000 years in Samaria and ancient Mesopotamia, where the oldest written word for the dragon was written as Yusum. This is interesting. Big is, let me go back because it tells you. So gal equals big, and then Yusum equals snake. And you can see how for myself, when my golden dragon introduced, I was more readily to accept it as a serpent more than an actual dragon. The star, Alpha Draconis, which is the dragon's homeworld, by the way, is also called Thuban, the Arabic word for snake. Draconis is in the constellation of Draco, which was the northern pole star from 3942 until 1793 BC. And many myths and stories about dragons stem from this time. Around the world, and in many different languages, people have come up with words to describe dragons. but how they picture them and whether they are regarded as friendly or deadly varies greatly across cultures. Dragons in Chinese and Oriental mythology are generally benevolent, wise, revered, and represent primal forces of nature and the universe. European dragons, on the other hand, are usually seen as malevolent. In Greek mythology, dragons were one of the species of the Titans that the Olympian gods fought and replaced. Now, I want to stop there because now I've read this already 3 or 4 times, getting ready for today. And I'm thinking to myself, if you go back and, like I said, nearly, for myself in religious studies, particularly, biblical, and you look at the other stories of other cultures, Greek, Roman, etc., all the way back to even Babylonian, they existed. This is a story of a realm and of a time that they have blocked our memory of. That's why activation of the third eye is so critical. In fact, if you didn't have the activation of the third eye, you wouldn't really be in any religion in any way of commitment. Anyway, in Christianity, dragons became identified with evil. Archangel Michael and St. George were often portrayers of slaying dragons, which were associated with sexuality and early pagan beliefs. There's a huge clue right there. In Mesoamerica, the dragon is found as the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl. The worship of Quetzalcoatl began in the early 1st century BCE and continued until Cortez arrived in America in the early 16th century. Quetzalcoatl is the Christ-like figure whose mother was said to be the creator mother god, Colotocule, who formed all the stars of the Milky Way. Quetzalcoatl was benevolent and credited with going to the underworld to create humanity for our current 5th world cycle of evolution. He created humans from the bones of the previous races, and by using his own blood, he brought civilization to humanity through the invention of books and the calendar, taught us to grow corn, and sometimes was a symbol of death and resurrection. Isn't it amazing that how the world has a much, a diverse view of the same topic? And, that's why people that are so heavily indoctrinated have a troubled time, accepting a potential reality of a different nature. Stories from all cultures say that dragons are beings of great power that knew how to work with all 4 elements. A dragon can fly, air, swim, water, live in the caves, earth, and breathes flames, fire. Dragons, like angels and elementals, are real beings that exist in a higher frequency than us, which is why few of us have seen them. And we get to talk here. This is our time where we just get to kind of, see our past lives and put it into context where we are right now. You couldn't seriously, if you pray, if you're giving prayer to an unseen being, this is exactly what you can't do that unless you have a third eye activation. And you can't actually get into prayer. I used to be a prayer warrior with, a Holy Spirit. And speaking of the Holy Spirit, you can't have in the religious experience of my Pentecostal background that, how could you believe in an unseen spirit that can come and take possession of you and bring gifts that allows you to see into the astral planes? The gift of healing, the gift of a vision, gift of knowledge, gift of wisdom. I mean, all of this. And so, in order to be able to see dragons, most of you already are there. You have to believe in those things that exist that don't be seen. It says the cosmic dragon is a multi-dimensional being and the spiritual head of dragons, much as the cosmic Christ is the spiritual head of humanity. The cosmic dragon, a being of great wisdom, is coming closer to us to watch and assist with the birth of the earth and to welcome our planet into the community of conscious planets. The symbol of this process is found in the Chinese tradition and is depicted as a dragon encircling the cosmic egg. Currently, the cosmic dragon is brooding the Earth, and the shell, the ring past knot that surrounds Earth, is starting to crack. This cosmic dragon has the responsibility to open the ring past knot that protects inhabitants on other planets in our solar system from humans and from us from them. The cosmic dragon works with the Kundalini energy of the Earth and electromagnetic ley lines, also known as dragon lines, to catalyze a rise in the consciousness of the Earth. The cosmic dragon is bringing new cosmic energies into our solar system. It gathers the substances from the ethers, which are needed in the new age that we are entering. This divine being activates our higher chakras so that we can enter an evolved state in our evolution. It works with the karmic board of humans to judge exactly when our pineal glands need to be open to awaken our dormant DNA. We were just talking about this. In this way, humanity will be prepared to access the cosmic information that has not been available until now. When I began writing The Dragon's Tale, I had no idea that the coming year would welcome the year of the wood dragon in Chinese astrology. The timing seemed significant. It was as if the cosmic dragons were, in some ways, overseeing the book. In Chinese astrology, the dragon, when combined with the nourishing wood element, brings evolution, improvement, and abundance. It is the perfect time for rejuvenated beginnings and setting the foundation for long-term success. These are all qualities desperately needed in our beleaguered world, and the message the dragons want humans to understand is they are here to help us. A long ago dream and Babaji's message. I awaken in a cave, still groggy from deep sleep. I prefer my surroundings, wondering how I got here. There are two gigantic, thick pillars holding up the ceiling, and when I looked to my left, I noticed an immense boulder. Confused, I attempted to understand where I am and slowly wandered towards a large opening that I assumed to be the way out. So this is her dream. She's actually now waking in this dream. Peering down, I see I am many hundreds of feet in the air. Immediately, I leap back and try to control my rising panic. How is this possible? Who brought me here? What has happened? Many questions and no answers. Withdrawing deeper into the cave, I looked around for a door or other exit that could explain how I got here. Nothing, though. Turning around again to stare out the entrance, which appears to be my only hope for escape. I'm stunned to see several dragons flying by at eye level. Red, blue, green, and bejeweled. This is not a reassuring sight. I'm alone. I'm in a cave, and there are dragons. I turned around and looked again at the large boulder I noticed when I awoke. It's no boulder. It's egg-shaped. I examined the two pillars and discover that what I initially thought were outlines of bricks were in fact scales, and at the base of the pillars were clawed feet, dragon feet. At that moment, everything fell into place. I am in a dragon's cave being brooded by a dragon, and soon a baby dragon, much larger than me, given the size of the egg, will emerge from that boulder. My heart stops in fear. Breathless, I wake up. I can remember every detail of that very real, conscious vision, even though it happened 30 years ago. Sometimes conscious dreams and visions stay in the past, and sometimes they affect the present. This is what happened to me. 1 year ago, something completely unexpected and life-changing occurred. Now, this book was written this year. I was meditating and greeting each of the masters associated with my meditation practice. One of the masters is Mahavatar Babaji, and the deathless guru who lives in the Himalayas and who has appeared to many advanced students over hundreds of years. Usually, when I see him, he is about my height, which is very short for a man, and he taps me on the top of my head, but he has never spoken to me. On this occasion, however, he grew within milliseconds to an incredible height and pulled me up with him until we were in the astral universe where I could see the Earth and two other inhabited planets. Give me 1 second, please. Cheers, everybody. Love that tea, huh? He said to me, "You have done enough for the elementals." Then, looking right towards one of the other planets, Babaji continued, "Have you thought about dragons?" Profoundly shocked, I immediately opened my eyes to find myself back in my physical body, grasping for air. I realized what a tremendous honor that the Babaji was speaking to me and giving me an assignment. Yet, I had devoted 30 years to writing books about elementals and their world and didn't really relish the responsibility of writing about a new and entirely different realm of existence. Still, I couldn't deny that many significant interventions by dragons had occurred during my life. Nor could I ignore a request from Babaji, who had asked the Yogagata to write his many books. Babaji had never requested anything from me previously, and I trusted that he would only ask for something that would be good for others as well myself. Nevertheless, I stalled in making a decision. 1 week later, while meditating, Babaji once again pulled me energetically into the astral universe where he repeated his previous request. This time, I didn't feel as overwhelmed and took the opportunity to look around. Hovering in this high plane, I saw three worlds: the Earth, the Dragon Planet, and another planet, which I intuitively knew was the world of the merpeople, where mermaids and mermen dwell. I glimpsed a larger universe spreading beyond those three worlds, but knew it was not my task to write about that. Returning my attention to the dragon world, I felt pulled by a being who wished to communicate with me. An instant later, I was in the presence of a large, magnificent dragon and knew it was waiting patiently for us to begin the book that Bacciati had requested. The dragon felt familiar, although I was unsure if it was the mother dragon or its offspring in the egg that I had glimpsed many decades ago. The question remained unanswered as I opened my eyes. Chapter 2, Dragons and the Earth. Meeting the Dragon. A year had passed since Bacciati's request, and although I occasionally thought about attempting to speak with the dragons, I was occupied with other projects and didn't feel a sense of urgency. Neither a request from Babaji nor never-forgotten visionary dream was enough to stir me into action. This was about to change. I was in France, getting ready to teach at the ashram of a Dutch guru friend of mine. I first met, and I'm just going to call Priya here, about 8 years ago in the Netherlands. She was there leading the satsangs, which are gatherings of people seeking spiritual truth, either in dialogue or proximity with an enlightened master. And I still get this feeling that we should maybe collectively as a group invite whoever the enlightened master is who has been assigned to us, and they have been assigned. I had never attended one of Praya's satangs and was surprised when she told one of her devotees that she would like to meet me. The day arrived, and I prepared to meet her by bringing a kata, a white scarf symbolizing purity and compassion. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, the guru blesses the kata and then returns it to you so that you receive the blessing. I was waiting for my friend as Priya car pulled up. When she emerged from the driver's side, my first thought was, what a modern guru she must be to drive herself. She was dressed totally in white, and her wavy blonde hair framed a widely smiling face. Like a lion on good behavior, she executed power and will at the same time as her blue eyes flashed with intelligence and curiosity. Priya was also a full-bodied woman with a great deal of physical energy, and I was warmed by the smile with which she greeted me. Slowly walking forward, I held out the kata in my open hands, expecting her to bless it and then place it around my neck. Taking the gift and still smiling, she placed it around her own neck. She then held out another prayer scarf, one that contained a lovely crystal with which she blessed me. Her actions were unusual and unexpected, as they symbolized that we were meeting as friends and comrades living in a spiritual life and not as devotee and guru. Over the next years, Priya and I met in the Netherlands whenever both of us were there, and she invited me to her ashram to teach about elementals, hybrids, and body-spirit consciousness. I can tell you, when I read this, what a journey, what a beautiful journey that we are on. You may be wondering why an enlightened guru would invite a person like me to teach about beings in the astral world. Isn't it a guru's purpose to assist others to wake up to the truth that all form is imagined and illusionary? And doesn't my teaching about the astral realms reinforce a belief in them and therefore tempt others to seek experiences in these realms? That's the question I initially asked myself. However, upon looking deeper, I realized there was no conflict between Priya's work and mine. All realms, including physical, astral, and casual worlds of form, are various aspects of spirit. Thus, journeying through them to consciousness is a viable way to know spirit. My gift is assisting others to become conscious in these various worlds of form, and Priya's gift is to show others who they truly are and accompany them as a guide on the spiritual path. Furthermore, Priya's expertise not only helps free her devotees from the physical world, but encourages them to fully embrace it by filling her ashram with beautiful trees, lush and healthy gardens. That's the background for how 8 years later I arrived at her ashram, the La Rosia di Sacha in France, to teach several short workshops. The ashram is 24 hectares, which is about 60 acres, and the morning after I arrived, Priya took me on a tour of the food gardens, orchards, and power places on the property. I thought we were winding down the tour when she looked at me and said, "A few years ago, two pundits from my spiritual lineage in India came here. They blessed our ashram and with many ceremonies and the havans. Accompanying the pandits, was a devotee of my guru who sees subtle realms, and during one of the ceremonies, he observed a black dragon arriving at our forest, gracing the property. We leave that area alone, however. I'd like to take you to see what you discover. Hearing her words, I was certain the dragon had come for me. As we walked along the overgrown path through the forest, I had time to reflect on how both my long ago dream and instructions by Babaji had brought me to this present moment. I could no longer postpone this meeting. We arrived at a thickly wooded, uncleared, abandoned part of the forest. Turning towards me, Pariah said, "We are told this is where the dragon is resting. I've asked others not to come to this place, but I'd like to hear about anything you learn." I felt the dragon waiting for me in the shadows and knew that it wanted to speak with me alone. I turned to Pariah and said, "It's not by accident the dragon and I are both here. In two unforgettable experiences, I was taken by Babaji into a higher astral frequency where he pointed at a strange planet and said, 'You've written enough about elementals. What about dragons?' For exactly a year this month, I've known I would need to honor his request, but I wanted to complete my other projects. I guess my grace time is over, and now I must act." We backed away from the place the dragon was laying and, turning around, left the forest. I needed to prepare to speak with the dragon. I intuitively knew our conversations would continue during my time there. I no longer felt reluctant to begin, and a gentle excitement to learn something new was arising in me. And the timing was perfect as I was teaching in the afternoon and had mornings free to be with the dragon. The first afternoon arrived, and the participants were gathered in a circle in the orchard. I joined them and sat in an empty chair, obviously meant for me. As Priya sat in the chair to my left, I was to teach about elementals, as this was of special interest to many of the participants who had a special interest in them. I began and was going through the various kinds of elementals that might wish to become their elemental partners when suddenly John, one of the participants, asked, "This is a place of dragons. What does that mean for us?" John had been a part of the ashram for over 10 years and knew what the devotee had said about the dragon and where it had landed. However, Priya had told me earlier that she didn't wish me to discuss the topic of dragons on the property, so I wasn't so sure how to respond. Glancing towards Priya, I quickly understood her "don't discuss it now" look. Turning back to John, I said, "It's not the time to discuss this, as dragons are not elementals. Let's get back to elementals." I returned to the day's topic and led the participants in a visualization to receive elemental partners. So all continued pleasantly. Despite that, I felt uncomfortable that I hadn't given John a straight answer. Then a solution came to me, and in the session ended, I spoke with Priya. "I'm going to need help carrying a chair and other things into the forest to speak with the dragon," I said. "I was wondering if I could ask John for help." "Yes, that would be fine," she answered. "I just don't want the topic of dragon to be discussed in the group right now." John is reticent, quite quiet man in middle height, weight, and age. He conveys a sense that he is always eager to help wherever help is needed, and is also happy to slide into the background. Later, I approached John. I said, "Could you meet me tomorrow around 9 a.m.? He looked puzzled, so I continued, "I need you to help me carry a chair and some pillows into the part of the forest where the dragon is residing." A man of few words, John nodded, and I knew that he would be there with what I was wanting to do the following morning. I awoke early to the sound of light birds singing their little hearts out. A beautiful breeze wafted through the bedroom window, Lying in bed, I contemplated the day with mixed feelings. One level, I was excited to learn more about dragons and what they wanted to share. On the other hand, I worried that I may not be competent because I had never spoken with dragons before. Old feelings of failure arose to be greeted by equally strong eagerness and a deep trust in my vision with Bajai. After all, if he knew I could do it, how could I doubt myself? I was strengthened by my confidence in him and how circumstances had followed me for over 30 years to bring me to this place of meeting the dragon again. But which dragon would I meet? Would it be the mother who brooded me or the one in the egg that was my nestmate? Breakfast was hurried and fair, and I busied myself getting my cell phone ready to record any conversation with the dragon and a notebook to begin writing. Right at 9 a.m., a knock at the door announced John's arrival, and we set off in silence. Thank heavens he didn't want to talk. I thought to myself, so that I could remain calm and centered for the upcoming meeting. Even though I have been a mystic my entire life and have seen many astral realms, I had a deep knowing that I would have to access much higher frequencies to understand everything the dragon would say. In other words, it would be a spiritual stretch. Preoccupied with my thoughts, I was surprised at how quickly we left the sunny meadow to enter the dark forest where silence reigned. John suddenly stopped and waited to see how I wanted to proceed. I signaled him to walk ahead so I could remain in a quiet, meditative state. Following the same path that Priya had taken the previous day, we soon arrived at the dragon's lair. Where shall I put the chair? John asked softly, as this was a place of hushed voices. Right here, and turn it towards those trees, I replied, waving him towards the place where I knew the dragon was resting. John carefully placed the chair in a level place and faced it in the direction where the dragon lay. He could see nothing, but I'm sure he felt its presence. Having done as requested, he carefully backed down the path until I could no longer hear him. I was alone. I tentatively sat down and, putting my notebook on the ground, closed my physical eyes to open my third eye, the eye I use to see in higher realms. Immediately, I saw a large indigo dragon with golden eyes and fierce intelligence staring back at me. A wild creature, untamed, gigantic, and not something to which I could easily relate. And yet, somehow, I felt I would be safe. The dragon was coiled with its massive tail around its body in a relaxed position. Its elegant head, broadened at the forehead, with a slim nose, was as large as my entire body, and its nostrils were open and widespread. Its mouth was similar to that of a flesh-eating dinosaur, complete with sharp teeth. It had a rough flap of feathery-looking skin hanging a little back from its chin and continuing down its throat. And above its large eyes were tufts that resembled eyebrows. Its ears were elfin-like in that they were long and pointed with a flap that could close when the dragon was submerged in water, sleeping, or blocking in unpleasant sounds. Its long, flexible neck was heavily muscled to hold up its large head. Its body was well formed, neither fat nor skinny. It appeared to weigh many tons. The dragon patiently allowed my examination, and when I telepathically asked it to stand so I could determine the length of its body, it complied with good grace. Its body, without the tail, was easily 15 or more feet long, and its four strong, scaled legs were like solid tree trunks. Its feet were not delicate, but muscular and capable of holding heavy weights, while each of its 5 talons was as long as my forearm. The dragon's body was blue-black, blacker at the top, with iridescent indigo blue on its belly. This color continued down its legs, but did not extend to the flesh-covered talons. On either side of the dragon's body were two gigantic wings. They resembled a folding fan with a hinged double joint, so that they could compress easily against the dragon's body when it lay or stood at rest. I could see the importance of that feature to maneuver within the dense forest where the dragon chose to rest. As I studied its wings, the dragon sent me a telepathic image of their full extension. Each one was doubled the size of its body. When open, they were a rich indigo color, flecked with red and other rich jewel tones, which shone like gems. Its long, scaled tail was the same length as its body. The tail was forked at the end and shaped like a flat rudder with a vertical piece that allowed the dragon to steer itself through the air. Having studied its body in great detail, I returned my attention to its intense golden eyes, like those of a snake with a black center. As I did this, the dragon, knowing my examination was complete, relaxed into a resting position calculated to make itself as intimidating as possible. It waited for me to enter a calm inner state before addressing me. "I've been waiting for you to come to my world to speak with me," the dragon began pointedly. "You have delayed. Hence, I've come to speak with you. There is a hole through space and time that allows me to come here from Draconis, where I live." Its voice was low and deep, and it spoke quietly, so as not to overwhelm me. I did not feel it was scolding me, merely conveying a fact. This allowed me to remain receptive and calm as I waited for the dragon to continue. "We've never met. I was the being in the egg that our mother brooded. We are nest siblings. You are my nest sister, even though you are such a different being from me. Our mother took the memories of all the dragons, and our sire catalyzed these memories to create me. In this way, information about dragons and our world would awaken in me at my birth. This we dragons can do. We can decide what memories from our ancestors we will keep and pass on to our offspring. We can remember our ancestors even back to the beginning ancestor. And we can recite the lineage. When a new being is to be born, we strengthen the memories that are most important for that being to know to fulfill its purpose. Our mother was chosen for this reason, because she is a wisdom keeper of the indigo lineage. She could hold these memories stronger and longer than any other dragons. Some dragon lineages are newer, but ours is ancient. As the dragon spoke, it became obvious that it was a he, and that he was going to become my main contact. I was disappointed for a few reasons. I would have preferred to speak with what he referred to as our brood mother, who, according to him, was wise. He was a youngster, so how much could he know anyway? And to be honest, I was overwhelmed with the size of any dragon and thought a female might have a bit smaller. "You're disappointed that you didn't get our mother," he said. "That wasn't possible because I am the spokesperson for the dragons to the humans. This is the role that I have been preparing for throughout many lifetimes. You will be able to speak with our mother and members of other lineages once you and I know each other more." So he fully knew my thoughts, that I realized I wouldn't be able to keep anything from him. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear anything he was thinking. But you can hear what I'm thinking, he said, commenting once again on my unspoken thoughts. Let me explain. Thoughts are in layers. It is easy to hear current and strong thoughts as they lie near the surface of your mind. This is why I could hear what you have been thinking in my presence. It's more difficult to hear older or deeply embedded, even forgotten thoughts. I can do this too, but it takes more effort. Our old dragons can hear all your remembered and not remembered thoughts with no effort at all. I can hear what you're saying even though you aren't using words, he said. I see images and hear thoughts. This is how you dragons do it? You hear what I want you to hear because I project my thoughts towards you, he replied. You wouldn't be able to hear what I don't project. I, like all dragons, can hear what is hidden or dormant inside you. However, I must say, it's a tangled mess of thoughts and feelings inside humans, whereas it's clear and precise inside dragons. And that could be because we are different races, I asked, trying not to offend. Partially, he granted. Dragons dwell in a higher frequency and have learned in our long history to steal our emotion and thoughts. Humans will learn to do this too. I was considering what he was saying when he announced, "That's enough for you today. Your focus is not as good as it could be, and we need to go slowly for you to move into the higher frequency where dragons live. Come here tomorrow morning." I hope you're enjoying this. This is again, if this is one of the books that if you buy it, it'll be right there on the the book stand next to you. It's phenomenal read. But don't you find this conversation fascinating? I mean, you go back and you listen to what the dragon is saying, and it's so true is that we're so surface bound in our thoughts. Most people's thoughts are shallow. They're not really of any intent or focus or or consciousness in focusing in on that. So concentration is lacking, and I could see what the dragon would be right, that it would be a tangled mess. But there's so many other points to this, and I'm trying to stop here because I could go on for a little bit more, and I just made it, but this kind of as a review. So according to this dragon, um, we all carry within us forgotten memories, forgotten thoughts. We're complex. We're so physically minded that we're, spiritually blinded by not, I'm just saying in a generality for humanity. Um, and that's why there's always the need within us who are of a spiritual path and nature. We have obviously either forgotten something or we are here to learn. And I think it's the latter part, to learn what we're doing. And I tell you, I love this idea of having the dragon here. I think there many of them are tuning in, going, "Well, you think they're getting it, John? I don't think so." All right, I'll continue. With those last words, I was dismissed. I left my chair, which John would pick up later, and retreated. As I wound my way back through the forest and the meadows to comfort of my room, I just digested what the dragon had said. He was a male, and according to him, my nest brother, but what exactly did he mean by that term? How interesting that he referred to his mother as our mother. I'm a human, not a dragon. So I wondered at his choice of words. Yet it was true that I'd seen myself in their cave in my meditations. I was curious to hear more from him and eager to discover my purpose in that world. If he was the one chosen to communicate with me, the human, was I the one chosen to communicate with him, the dragon? And if so, what was next? The answers to these questions would have to wait. Although the dragon had maintained a monologue in our first meeting, I intuitively felt that we would continue with the dialogue soon, as our first meeting was more of an introduction, and I guess that is the way dragons do it. I have a lot to learn, don't we all? All right, we pick up on this on Monday. The dragon and the sacred fire. I love this. So tell me what you think. I think this is cool. By activating our third eye, getting better at that, going down the path and the journey, we got to get someone, if there's anyone out there that has a good, strong knowledge of elementals and personal experience in working with them, love to hear from you. If you have your own dragon tail, would love to hear that as well. One of the things I have learned in life, particularly where spiritual things are concerned, in spiritual dealings, respect is reciprocated back. And in the spirit realm, it's been my encounter that there are higher intelligent beings. I recognize that. But I've also recognized that they respond to respect, gratitude, appreciation. They don't need to deal with negative attitudes of humans. And so when they find a human that has the natural aspect of a heart of gratitude, thanksgiving, and if you can expand that out in your journeys, in your astral travels, you'll find yourself collecting more spirits that love will hang around you. And they will start speaking to you. I believe dragons are the same way. They seem to be, I would say, have etiquette. They don't force themselves upon anyone. To the student that's ready, the teacher will appear. I wonder if we just start collectively as a group, just give acknowledgement, say thank you. They exist. Again, Kaz, even amongst our group, she's captured pictures of them. I've seen other pictures of the dragons. And I believe that the reason why they allow themselves to be photographed is that they realize the vast majority of humanity will ignore it. But to those few who immediately identify and are appreciative of their beauty, their magnificence, that is telepathically communicated to them. And I believe that they are here in abundance. I believe that they are interplanetary, intergalactic travelers. They have conquered the laws of natural science and taken them beyond our ability to comprehend. And I think by acknowledging them as a group, that reinforces their willingness to come forward. As I have said before, many people get messed up in their travel in the spirit realm, but because I found that many people are not trustworthy. Spirit's going to see that as well. If you're not a trustworthy person, I can assure you, you're not going to get trustworthy spirits. They don't need to deal with that. There's so many others like ourselves here that are fully open and receptive to their presence and to that which they give. It's all good. Hey, Kaz, speaking of you, there you are, dear. So, yeah. Hey, Susie Q, good to see you as well. So many good people out there. I hope you've enjoyed this. I mean, again, we'll continue to read excerpts from this because I, I'm like, three-quarters through the book, and I'm like, mind blown, like, whoa. And I see why she was instructed to write this book. I think it's an awakening. I think many people that hear these words and begin to see it's going to activate something within you. And that activation is going to allow you to step out into that place where you may have hesitated to before and make contact. It's a wonderful thing, folks. I can remember back last summer and last spring out on our deck. Um, I and I have to say I haven't been as steady at this as I should be, but the daily meditation sessions, I mean, this dragon was always there, very kind, um, and quite spectacular. Anyway, so if you have a dragon story, let me know. I'd love to have you on and maybe have a group of people on. I mean, I can't be the only one. Guy, I got it. Yeah, I'm sure you could add to that. Hello, Goddess Sabina. How are you, Bernadette? Good to see you, dear. Um, who's that? That science says, welcome to the nest. I think that's where we are. I think we're waking up going, oh, yeah, it really is real. Yeah. In my former religion, there it was always said that we're surrounded by a great crowd of witnesses. And it's real interesting in the study of the book of Revelation. If you read the throne room, the four-headed beast, they could easily be described as dragons as well. Interesting, huh? Okay, everybody, have yourself, Mr. Floyd, right back at you, brother. I have dragon stories. I love to hear them. We need to hear them. I mean, this is how we grow and this is how we learn. Um, I'll be getting into this subject really deeply over the weekend. It's just I feel this compelling. You know, it's like once they become alive, the next thing you know, they're taking you on journeys and they'll start teaching you things and things will start coming that you hadn't ever thought about, and that's far out. All right. See, Nina says that they have their predictions for 2025. What day? I don't know what day that is, but Mary wins. Much love to you, darling. I fell asleep listening to Wayne and woke up listening. Well, there you go. Your spirit was definitely picking up on that as well. All right, everybody. Much love. Write down in the comments. Tell me, did you were you there? As you were hearing the words, were you in the forest? Were you sitting in the chair and you could actually see Hollis where she was sitting? Could you see the dragon? How many of you were in the cave if it was just for a millisecond? Yeah, that's what we can do as a group. Because guess what? We were all there. Now that is powerful when you think about what we just experienced as a small collective. Did you see the dragon? Did you see his beauty? Did you see those iridescent colors running? Yeah. Hey, Lauren, how are you, dear? Um, I'll be back on Monday, Gilbert. We'll be here all the way. We'll do our Tuesday show with Trina, but listen, I'd love to have folks, come on. We'll talk about this. All right, have yourself a great weekend, and man, say hello to the dragons. Give them honor and respect and appreciation, and just open yourself up to whatever they may have to say back. You know, they're not here to harm us. They're up here to uplift us, to edify us, to build us up to that higher place. Exactly. All right, folks. I do adore every one of you. I thank you so much for making my life just a beautiful, beautiful place. And it's this is actually fun, I have to say. This is what keeps you young. It's the excitement of knowing knowledge that you've hungered for, you've thirsted for. And when it arrives, it's wow, it's almost sometimes overwhelming, isn't it? Because it's such affirmation and confirmation of your journey, your own personal journey. That's as far out, folks. That's all I got to say. Jackie says, my husband has a dragon tattoo. There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Ken says, welcome to the jungle. Yeah. So, anyway, I mean, you never know. Maybe some of you actually have a dragon in your etheric house. You know, I bet you they would know how to cook too, huh? All right. Much love, everyone. Until we meet again. All righty.